Hey guys, what's up and welcome to the channel, the Shotgun Shogun, and I need you guys to do me a favor. Maybe not all of you, but some of you. I need you guys to do me a huge favor. And that is, I need you to stop judging characters in a vacuum. Now, one of the big things that I like, the reason why, and so this is like happened with the last handful of characters that have come out, right? So a character comes out, let's say Sinful Angelica or ML Haste. Those are some of the characters that just came out, or let's say Dizzy. Let's say Dizzy. And immediately someone will be like, lol, bAsAr exists. This unit is garbage. Or, oh, this other unit that does kind of a thing that this unit does, but does other things as well exists. So this unit, literal trash. And it's really kind of weird that everybody just kind of judges a character off of this theoretical Goldilocks zone of the perfect situation of just perfectness. You have everything at your availability. Your characters are all perfectly geared. You have a 372 speed bAsAr that has 700 effectiveness and 13 tag hells at the very beginning of the match, and you are going to absolutely destroy every unit that ever comes out ever. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Realistically, I understand some people look at it from an arena standpoint, but really the game is focused more, at least in my opinion, Smilegate focuses more on RTA. So the easiest response to just saying, well, bAsAr exists is, we'll just ban him 5-head, easy. Ban him, pre-ban him, pick him, counter-pick him, because guess what? bAsAr exists, Firelytica exists, Koeric exists, Falconeer Quarry at 300 speed exists. There's all kinds of... The thing is, Assassin Sid exists. Everything in this game is going to have some sort of counter, right? So even a niche character... A lot of times they're putting out characters that are very niche and they do what they do really well. So let's take ML Haste, for example. They just data mined all of his modifiers, everything like that, at just 20k hit points, which isn't a completely unreasonable amount of hit points for a Soul Weaver to have. If Arbiter Vildred comes back to life, everybody's getting 12k shield, plus 10% damage reduction, plus a debuff immunity, and you're going to probably have an Arius and an Adamant shield on your team, and that Arbiter Vildred is going to do nothing. It doesn't matter. I don't care how stacked your Arbiter Vildred is. He's not killing anybody with ML Haste on the team, right? He might be able to break through the shield. Might be able to break through the shield. So realistically, a lot of people, I feel, just look at a unit and then compare it to a unit that has nothing to do with that unit. Take DJ bAsAr, for example. People still say that DJ bAsAr is not that good, regardless of the fact that he sees quite a bit of play in very high-level RTA, high-level arena. You know, the people, absolute garbage unit. Absolute trash, needs a buff 100% because he doesn't heal that well. He's not supposed to heal, right? Sure, that's what he gets on his S2, but that's not the core of the unit, right? You don't want him to be your main healer. Although, to be fair, if you invest some Molagoras into him and you put a Shamadra staff on him, or you have a Shamadra staff on the team and he's running, let's say, a Celestine, he's going to be healing for quite a bit. I use him all the time. One of my favorite units. I know what I'm talking about. So you'll see a lot of people that'll be like, oh, well, why would I bring DJ bAsAr when I can bring a Momo? And I'm like, well, because they do two different things. A Momo doesn't have CR push. She doesn't have, you have to soul burn in order to have team-wide debuff immunity. They do completely different things. You know, when they announced Guilty Gear, people were like, well, why would I take Baiken when I can bring Yafine? Well, first off, maybe you don't have Yafine. Maybe you have Baiken. Not only that, but the gear requirements for Yafine to one-shot Banshee 13 are exponentially higher than they are for Baiken, right? Not only that, but Yafine requires a tag hells in order to two-turn. Baiken just needs to crit, which you should be building to crit anyways. Not only that, but she has CR push. Yeah, cools down her skills on her S1. Does quite a bit of damage. Easy peasy. So they're not really comparable, right? They're comparable in that maybe they're DPS, right? Okay, so the thing is there are few units in this game that are direct power creeps to the same type of unit. And usually that's a 5-star versus a 3-star. So you have 3-star units that can do what a 5-star or a 4-star can do, and they're meant to be a transitionary unit as you go into building things up, right? And so a lot of people immediately just go to this whole, well, why would I use this unit because Seaside Belle exists? Why would I use this unit because bAsAr exists? Why would I run this because this exists? Yes, sure, there absolutely is a meta, but the meta is regularly shifting, and a lot of times it is because of people who are big brain, massive amounts of gear, trying out new units. I've seen people do some crazy stuff with ML Roman, and a lot of people will just fight tooth and nail that ML Roman is completely unusable, complete trash. There's still people that think that Cerise is super garbage, but you get a Cerise on a memorandum, and you're just going to be lapping. As it is, my Falconeer Quarry, who some people say isn't meta, even though she absolutely is, alongside of Mursa. And if you don't think Mursa's meta or really strong, just probably take a step back and like figure out how to play this game, because a lot of times I feel, and this isn't me being like elitist or anything like that, I'm not amazing at the game. I'm okay, I'm pretty good. I just spend too much money on it. That's really what it is. But you have to look at units objectively, right? The game is not a vacuum. It's not this unit is the linchpin. There's very, very few units outside of like a ridiculously dumb geared ML Ken that is going to solo the other team, right? And especially like in Arena, because you have literally everything at your disposal. In Arena, theoretically, you should be able to beat every other team. There's a counter to every single team. Doesn't matter what it is. Oh, you have bAsAr, I'm going to bring Emil, Tywin, and Elena. You can't beat, I literally will get free points off of your team. Unless you have a slow bAsAr or you have a cheat crown, because, that's perfectly balanced. But regardless, you should be able to theoretically, if you have the gear, you have the units, you should be able to counter everything in Arena. In RTA, there's that whole aspect of you can only pick one unit that's on the field. So if they pick the unit that you want, guess what? You're effed. If they ban the unit that you want, guess what? You're effed. So it brings a whole different aspect to the game. So the thing is you have to be able to look at a unit and you have to go, how can I use this and what will this counter? Is it something that I can run in, let's say they pick an Arbiter Vildred, right? And you, for some reason, let it through or ban it or whatever. Are you going to be able to use the unit that you just picked? Like, okay, cool, I picked a Spez, right? All right, now, even if that Arbiter Vildred dies real quick, is that Spez going to do anything else for me throughout the rest of the match based on the other 3 units that they have? So that's the big thing with RTA, and I think a lot of people are looking at everything kind of in a vacuum. They also don't take a look at, put more wars into it. Dark Corvus is not very good until you invest in him, but once you invest in him, there's not too much in Guild Wars that he can't kill. Right, especially with like the right team and the right setup. Same in Arena. If you want to take 20 minutes to finish, Dark Corvus 3 support, easy peasy. Just tank it out and just one shot everything as you go. But the thing is, every single new character that comes out, unless it is at a Seaside Belle level of OP-ness, which, we'll see what Elfelt comes out like, everybody just immediately jumps to this unit is trash. and it's the most insufferable, most annoying thing in the world, because I'll be real with you, most of the people that are calling units trash don't actually know that much about the game. They don't know how to use synergy. They don't know how to slot things into certain teams. They don't think outside the box. You know what? A lot of people go, if it's not meta, it's not worth anything. And everybody is just so blinded by bAsAr A Vildred. The A Vildred, honestly, if you run Adamant Shield and an Arius on a semi-tanky team, he doesn't do that much. Put DN on a team with an Arius and an Adamant Shield, and you can just literally laugh at an Arbiter Vildred after he reses. That's what I do typically. I will just instant give the Arbiter Vildred as soon as I come into the match, before anybody can do any damage, and then it's just there. It's done. He'll come back. My little Queen Charlotte takes like next to no damage from him. Everybody else is fine, and then I just heal back up, and then I proceed to kill him again. There's a lot of options out there, and I feel like a lot of people don't actually look at what all is available. They just go, well, what does YD use? What does Tenhai use? What does Warbolt use? What does Sky King use? What does this person use? Oh, they use this. That's what Code uses. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to use that because I don't want to. That's just what everybody else uses. They'll go look at a defense on a legend team, right? The top legend, reverse black or something like that, which the dude changes his defense team like constantly. When I was trying to push up into legend, you hit somebody, and then 30 seconds later their defense team would be completely different. So you can't go off of what defense teams or offense teams legend players are running, because, well, you're probably not a legend player. So is your Fallen Cecilia going to get the same amount of mileage as somebody who has $2,000 worth of gear just on that unit? No, it probably isn't. But is Fallen Cecilia a super good unit? Absolutely, because of other reasons. But there are quite a bit of other things out there. A lot of people don't run Purges. I love Purges. I clap people with Purges, but you don't see Purges ran very often. And the thing is that you don't really see a lot of off meta picks until things are like they're required, right, to like counter a certain unit. You never really saw Fire Cecilia until you started seeing more grass units come around. And that's the thing, is like a lot of these people are at the forefront of the meta. They're the meta makers, right? Because they have the units, they've got the resources in order to do this. So immediately dismissing a new character that has literally not even come out yet, and demanding buffs for it and calling it trash is probably one of the most 500 IQ Senku plays that you could possibly do. You need to just kind of take a step back, wait till the unit comes out, have your first initial analysis of it, and be like, oh, okay, well, this isn't too bad. But the thing is I've seen people comparing ML Angelica to ML Haste. They do completely different things. ML Angelica, while she does bring buffs to the team speed and attack, that's phenomenal. She has invulnerability, but at the same time, you just have to kill her in order to bring your units back. So while that does kind of cuck a Arbiter Vildred, that's not going to mess with there's ways around it, especially in RTA, for Ruel and Maid Chloe in order to circumvent that, right? With ML Haste, as long as ML Haste is on the table, it doesn't matter who you're bringing back. I don't care who you bring back. They're not doing 12,000 damage through Arius, through Adamant Shield, through 10% damage reduction. That just isn't going to happen. Chances are the only person who's going to get to go immediately is Arbiter Vildred, and even a Greater Basket one is not going to one-shot your team, right? Unless you have somebody that's like at a sliver of hit points. That's the option there. And then you probably wouldn't want to set up an Arbiter Vildred kill until you are in a spot where it's not going to be a big deal. You go in with ML Haste S3, which actually his modifiers aren't that bad. Depending on his hit points, he's not really meant to be super massive DPS, but even just running some numbers earlier, he was, if you had about 2,500 attack, 250 crit damage, with like a defense break and an attack up, it was like, I don't know, 220k damage to something. I know that's not going to one shot a Fallen Cecilia, but it's going to do some damage for a Soul Weaver that's rocking like 25k hit points. So regardless, a lot of the things, and this rant just kind of like got off on a huge tangent. Just objectively look at units, because it's not a single unit game, right? There is a team. You have to bring a team. So when you look at a unit like Dizzy, right? A lot of people, they're like, oh, well, immunity sets exist. Amomo exists. DJ bAsAr exists. Acades exist. Destina exists. You can just ban or counterpick them, and immunity set is completely worthless for like Dizzy, right? Because I'm just going to wait till the next turn. If I'm running a fat Dizzy, a fat counter crown Dizzy, guess what? Your immunity set's probably going to be done by the time I get my turn. If I'm running a fast Dizzy, I'll just wait until the second turn to use my S3. Now, granted, it does make me have to wait a turn, but guess what? After that is gone, your immunity set's worthless. That's a completely worthless two-piece set of gear. Not only that, but sure, okay, immunity set exists. Faithless Lidica exists, regular Lidica exists, Alencia exists, Cerise exists, bAsAr exists. There you go. There's so many ways to strip buffs that immunity set is not really the biggest counter to Dizzy anymore. And like I mentioned earlier, you gotta stop thinking of units in a vacuum, right? You're not going to always have the perfect setup. RTA is where the game is headed. That's the real end game, because when you're playing Arena, you're playing against bots. That's like bragging that you got a pentakill in League of Legends when you're playing the AI. Sure, a pentakill is still a pentakill. Congratulations on getting Legend 1. It actually is way more work than I want to do, because I would much rather spend my Skystones on running hunts for the copious amounts of gear that I need in order to stay competitive in anything at all in this game. But, I'm not dismissing that achievement in the slightest. It's a lot of work, a lot more work than I want to do. But you can't just go, well, this unit's going to be worthless in PvE, because there's three other types. There's Guild Wars, there's Arena, there's RTA, and a lot of times things that are good in Arena might not be good in RTA, might not be good in Guild Wars, but things that are good in Guild Wars, Merca claps hard in Guild Wars, Purges claps hard in Guild Wars, Dark Corvus, phenomenal in Guild Wars. You have to have a lot more setup in Arena for Dark Corvus, right? Because you have to worry about how many turns do you take, because you got the stacking damage, you've got a whole bunch of other stuff that you have to think about. And immediately, as soon as a unit comes out, completely dismissing what they could bring to the table by saying, well, I have this other thing. Well, that's cool. Maybe I don't have Sinful Angelica. I do have Sinful Angelica, but maybe you don't have Sinful Angelica and you want to use ML Haste, because ML Haste does something completely different. There is that option. Cleave is not always an option. As a matter of fact, I feel like the game is moving more towards an anti-cleave meta, because like I said, you slot ML Haste, because even if you don't require his S2, right? If you don't use his S3, and this isn't going to work in Arena, obviously, because he'll use his S3 immediately, but let's say you try to speed cleave onto a team with Arius, Adamant Shield, and ML Haste. You're not going to be doing as much damage, right? You're going to speed cleave in, and depending on what the team is, you're going to be able to potentially come back from that. We'll see. Again, I don't particularly do Arena. My defense is pretty garbage, because I don't actually pay attention to it. But this is a long rant for basically saying, stop dismissing a unit immediately out the gate because X unit exists. Look at APOC Ravi, right? Everybody for the longest time said APOC Ravi was garbage. They didn't even really buff her that much. They just made her her crit static instead of stacking, which I mean was nice, but it wasn't the be all end all, because a lot of the time people were running a slow A Ravi with a Hell Cutter anyways. So, and they still do. But the thing is they just tweaked her just a little bit. Now she's one of the most overpowered units in the game. And that's one of the big things, is until a unit sees like massive amounts of play, like take F Litica, right? When Faithless Litica first came out, everybody was like, this unit is literal trash. Why would anybody roll for this? I actually cleaved with her like right out the gate, because I was like, oh, she can't be counterattacked. Cool, and put Rengar's Drink on her, run her with Assyria. Push her forward, boom, done. It was one of the most fun cleave teams I've ever ran, and I hate cleave teams. So that's, that was pretty fun. But once she started seeing play in RTA, once she started being the CR pusher for cleave teams, everybody was like, oh, wow, she's actually really good. And then they buffed her because everybody was complaining about how bad she was for the longest time. Now she's super OP because she puts the skill nullifier on. So, that's what you get. Not every unit has to be, and the other thing too is not every unit has to be a super DPS, right? Sometimes a unit is just there to add other things. They're a support. They don't have to be a hard tank, a hard healer, or a hard DPS. Got to kind of break yourself out of that mindset. That's one of the best things that you can do in order to push your game forward, right? There's a lot of times where I will run up against a team in RTA and they'll be running something that I've literally never seen before. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to ban that, because I want to see how they absolutely destroy me with this unit. So that way I can step back and I can go, oh, wow, okay, well, I didn't even know that this unit could do this. I was sleeping on Captain Ricorous for a hot minute until I got clapped real hard by one. And then I looked at what he did and I'm like, oh, dude, Captain Ricorous, sleeper OP, right? Now, this is not always in super, super high tier meta is that going to be the case, because when you get up to like the number 1 spots, you are optimizing your meta unit as much as humanly possible, right? I just still do pretty okay with my 280 speed Falconeer Quarry up there. Could I put that gear onto somebody else and maybe do better? Maybe. But I think Falconeer Quarry brings a lot to the team, a lot to pretty much everything. Not only that, but you get her stacked up on a memorandum, 10 stacks on that, and she is just lapping people like crazy. Super fun, super cancerous. But I've been ranting for a really long time over just literally the bAsAr exists complaint. I see it all the time on Facebook, Reddit, Stove, in my comments section, in other people comments section. Everybody just immediately is so fast to dismiss a unit instead of looking at what it could potentially do. Not only that, but the future exists, right? And you know what? If you don't want to spend on a unit, that's perfectly fine and that's perfectly understandable. But you don't always necessarily know what another person has, and trying to dissuade them off of a unit that is not bad and hasn't even been road tested by people is a little kind of crappy, and just stop that. But I'm gonna go back to farming here. The Hunt 13s that I got getting so much stuff from. Anyways, guys, I'm sure that this is going to ruffle some jimmies. It's probably going to get like a 50% thumbs down, because I'm kind of talking about how some people need to just stop being so big brain, so smooth brain, from a person that they probably think is not very good at the game. I'm not amazing. I don't claim to be. I'm okay. I play a lot, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think that I hate the bAsAr exists example, and it's just so annoying. We get it. Grass. There was a Reddit post. We get it. Grass beats fire, or fire beats grass. Grass beats water. Water beats fire. Not everybody is the Gen 1 Mewtwo of the game. Everything in this game has a counter. It's just you need to find it out. bAsAr is not invincible. He has tons of counters. Anyways, like I said, I'm gonna get out of here, or I'm gonna just keep ranting for a lot longer, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy, homies. Peace.